Guys, it's great to see everybody.
Hey! What is going on, guys? Hello, Jay here, and I'm here with my co-host, Egg. Egg, say what's up to the peoples.
What's up to the peoples?
Our other co-host, he is a dream. The dream, Stephen Aiken. Say hello to the people, Stephen.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Oh,
So we wanted to introduce this. See, I haven't quite figured out the distance here on this microphone.
It's a real professional right there.
Making his way to the PGF Insiders podcast for the 35,000th time. At 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, Nashville, Tennessee. Tim Freeman.
Thank you. No, everybody sit down, please. No. Okay, a little bit. Okay.
whoa! Yeah.
And the three people watching are going wild.
The dozens and dozens.
Hey, man, I pull big in my price range.
That's the move. That's the real move.
How are you guys doing?
Good. Excited to be here with you, sir.
Awesome.
It's another fantastic Sunday of just chilling. Nothing crazy
Dude,
going on.
Wait.
He saw a ghost.
I know, man.
What?
Oh, shit.
Oh,
How does this work without him?
Did Mojasim get him? He's
Oh,
gone.
God.
If you remember, we did the draft this way, where he was like the Cheshire Cat in the background, and he'd just like pop up just to talk shit every once in a while, and then
A little
then
confused
fade back
by
to
his
back.
tactics.
There he goes.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah.
The Matrix is
Internet.
bringing him back. Hey,
The
we got
internet.
He
you.
has me all fucked up. But anyway, I'm back. What did I miss?
Oh,
Okay.
us talking bad about you for about 30 seconds.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, that's
We did our
nothing
best.
new. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us, Tim. We've been trying to get you on for a little bit because we wanted to
Wait, is
have
this
you
his
on
first time?
before we had Jake on. So,
I thought you'd been on here before. My bad.
no.
I think I've been on the other podcast that Brandon was doing. I don't know if he still does it.
Mm.
And he would have like 4 people, and they would give poots and ding dings and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
You
remember that one?
around,
He doesn't
around
do
the
that
horn
anymore.
type of thing?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think
he
I've
doesn't do
been
that
with
anymore.
some of you guys on that before.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea. I think it just wasn't like well executed. I think
The
it's
problem
hard
with
to do.
scheduling, logistics, just trying to get people like lined up was, I think, really the problem. Just trying to get. I mean, hell, trying to
The
get
buzzer guy
us.
needed to be able to stand tall and make a choice. Keelan always liked to be friends with everybody. He didn't want to like pick a hardcore winner and say why. You got to have a dude that's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go with Tim because I think all the rest of you guys are idiots and I don't care. But he would never do that.
Yeah. He was a man of the people.
Just trying to get
Controversial
jiu-jitsu
judge.
guys, period. Trying to get jiu-jitsu guys, period, like on one time zone. Time.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough because we got East Coast, we got West Coast. Are you Central, Tim?
Yeah, I'm Central.
Okay, so we get East, Central, and West time zone. So that's already a problem there. And then just like the schedules. I mean, because like Stephen, you run your own gym. I mean, Tim runs 2 gyms. I mean that's a lot to ask. Just trying to like carve out some time. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well,
Tim's
this is
the man
fun.
of the streets.
The streets. I don't
That's why
live,
they
I
made
don't live by the
sidewalks.
streets anymore. It's really nice out here, actually.
He was in the streets. Now he moved to Nashville.
Came up with have some nice
you know,
sidewalks everybody could walk around and everything because the streets ain't for every fucking body.
No, they're not.
There you go.
They are not. Buck up your
Apparently
shoes in
not
the
for
streets,
Tim
man.
anymore.
Dude, in Vegas at CJI and stuff like that, standing on the concrete, I was like, man, my feet are getting very hot. And so I checked my little handy dandy weather app thing, and it said it was like 103 or 4 degrees out there.
Yeah.
If it was that hot over here in the South, man, we would literally like die.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, my feet are, it's burning kind of the ground hot and stuff like that, but it wasn't like air temperature hot or what. I don't know the humidity, lack of it. 103 ain't shit, you know, compared to like 87 down here in the South.
Yeah. Yeah. It was much drier. It's still freaking triple digits is triple digits though. It sucks. Nobody moves. There's not even like birds don't fly. You don't see cats. You don't see dogs outside. You don't see even the ants. All the insects come inside. They're like, fuck this. It's too hot. Yeah.
Sure.
And then we decided to do the 2 biggest jiu-jitsu events in the world on that weekend in that weather.
The hottest time of the year. We're smart people, a lot of us jiu-jitsu guys. And so you're a big part of like the bullpen stuff going on. You guys are going around giving interviews, doing interviews, trying to give some live reactions, I guess, to what was going on. You also with Egghead and stuff like that. What was that like, being like a guy that was like working the crowd and so to say during that time?
Oh man, it's such a weird novelty act, I think, for most people. Some people get what's going on, and other people are there, and it's like the first time they've gone to a jiu-jitsu event. Also, I felt like there was some of that because it was kind of a spectacle. So they were just kind of trying to put everything together. Craig Jones was a little more circus-y feeling, and the vibe was a lot, I would say, funner. There was more excitement and electricity in the crowd, and people kind of wanted to talk about it, and most everybody had an opinion. So that part was pretty fun because I got to mix in with just, you know, some people that we knew, some people that we didn't know, some people that, you know, were actually in the tournament, and some people that were just like, dude, one guy was in like a furry costume, you know, and we're like, hey,
At
bud.
CJI?
Yeah, like we need to talk.
I missed that,
Kind
dude.
He was kind of like, and I'm like, dude, you're the one in the costume. Don't act like you're put upon right now.
Yeah, you wanted this. There's obviously
you wanted the attention for sure.
Right. And you can't eat those nachos anyway with that furry ass paw. He's just holding his thing. It's like, what are you doing? This is all an act, buddy. Put that mic in his face. Let's go, Kevin. Fire him up. So.
Yes, the perfect.
You guys went on for a long time, and I caught most of it because I had the one TV on with the matches going on, and then I had you on the other one, you know, because I had the volume down on the matches. So I was listening to you guys. That shit was fun, man. But man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of time covering.
You know, I'm sure. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm sure you were listening like intermittently during each of the day.
Of course, when the fighters were coming out, so I could listen to
you.
Of
course, you were right. Yeah. I thought you meant that.
Steven, you have the text. We have the text. We heard you.
No, I turned it down, man. I had it all turned down, and I was listening to something else the whole time, dude.
It was just Tim. You know, I was just happy to see Tim out there the whole time. You know, he was really hyped.
I see what you did there.
No, I mean, Steven, I was so pumped. I mean, obviously, I won those tickets from Alex Windling's show, which blew my mind.
Yeah, shockingly, how you did that. You won.
It was online. It was live online. Damn it! There was no shenanigans. It was live online. I didn't know until the next day. I'm like, what? Because I was I'm West Coast, man. So I was driving home from work when that show was on. Like I couldn't pay attention.
Sure. Man,
anyway.
you made out like a bandit that fucking weekend. You got ADCC tickets. You got CJI tickets.
Yeah.
I mean,
all
for $3.99, bro.
No, he worked hard for that shit, man.
Oh, yeah. Egg was the all-star MVP. He did everything. Egg can do everything. That's what's freaking cool. It's like, man, he's the guy. He's the fixer. Egg is the fixer, man. It's great. I love it. Yeah, I think we did 26 hours of broadcasting, which was a lot, man. I mean, you know, it's weird. Like if you're just doing like a show, like when I do Inside BJJ, it's just 4 guys in 4 squares talking. It's not a lot of like production per se, but when you do something like that, there's a whole other production element to it that you're also trying to do live that really changes the complexion of what you're doing, and it makes it feel more tense and more like you don't want to screw up, but at the same time, you are having fun and you're covering stuff and people that you know. So it's not really hard. It's just demanding. So, but it's fun.
I mean, so I talk about demanding. I mean, that first night of CJI, holy crap. I mean, Steven, you were the man announcing all of it. You know, you were there
till midnight, maybe.
Holy
after
good
midnight?
Lord.
At least, yeah.
That was insanity. I mean, it was epic, but it was also, good Lord, epic.
Midnight was like 3 a.m. out here too.
Yeah. How did you survive, Steven? Holy crap.
Listen, man, I just happy to be there. To be honest with you, just hyped to be a part of something like that, and finally getting to like do something like that was really like the driving energy behind it. It was a big deal for everybody involved, you know. And after doing the PGF a few times, and hearing from some of the athletes how like important maybe that vibe is as they walk out, or the energy or whatever it is that they get when they walk out, I felt like it was really important to like go all in, you know, as much as I could the whole time, for everybody, you know, and try to build that environment and that atmosphere, for this, because, you know, whatever the term may be, circus spectacle, you know, or the big freak show, but then also they had the highest quality, you know, athletes that they could kind of get competing for the, you know, the biggest single prize that jiu-jitsu's ever seen. So to be a part of that at all, man, I was buzzing the whole week, and leading up to it, even the whole time, like for weeks, I was really just like on a high, like just being hyped up, because man, this was a big deal, and I was gonna get to not only be a part of it, but like almost kind of control the dial on day one a little bit. So it felt like a big deal.
Basically led off the show.
Just a you know, Daily Triangle with some love for you, Mr. Aiken. But I mean, just for fans that might not know exactly what we're talking about, you know, the Craig Jones Invitational just happened, and the first day announcer was Stephen Aiken here, which you know obviously might not realize because he's not suited up. He's in a chill mode now.
Never
casual wear.
But you know what we've seen, and I think we've talked about this a few times, is that with the PGF, Professional Grappling Federation, because our season is you know, multi days. I mean, at least 5 days for the week. So each season we get at least 5 different shows, essentially, if you will, type of experience. So since season 3, Stephen Aiken has been the announcer for. It was 3.
Don't question.
I believe you,
Mr. Warrior.
No, I believe you. I just,
well,
like,
I mean, so Tim, here's the thing. Like,
I used to get hit in the head a lot for money too.
You
so
see where it says
that's
20-pound brain under his name.
So Tim, here's the thing. It's like Steven and I showed up, and we didn't know what we were gonna do. We were just homies in for the cause for season 3. I
had a plan, son. What are you talking about? I had all these notes written out for these guys and stats and who had what against who, and
well, because we had a pre-show, because we did a pre-show, kind of like the Bullpen, which is amazing. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But we did a pre-show, and then, like, no kidding, like 3 minutes before the start of PGF season 3, Steven was gonna be a commentator, and I was just gonna be in the crowd, just enjoying, having some fun, eating some popcorn or whatever. And then Brian's like, "Hey, Steven, you're the announcer right now. Again, get over here, take a spot." and that was how it happened. Wow. Steven had to have 2 different microphones because he had to have one microphone for everyone to actually hear in the audience themselves, and then one for YouTube. So he had 2 microphones. And luckily he's got, you know, big old mitts, so it works. But
beautiful.
That was the beginning, and Steven, you know, brought that, you know, WWF for us old folks, now WWE, AEW. Brought that like emotion to everything.
It was the Fink.
Well, I'm just gonna say, Steven, and I've thrown it all over to your show with the Bullpen, because Wallo took that photo, that just pumps me up every time I see it, about how hard Steven works and how much he cares, and it's seeing it come to fruition from both the PGF and now the CJI, and we learned that like the sky is the limit for Steven.
It's for all of us. For all of us.
I got you, man. But like you're making it. You're making it happen.
We all are.
And you'll pull us up there. I appreciate it. But I mean, I'm so happy for you, sir.
Reach down, brother.
Hey, have you guys seen the trailer for the new documentary?
Mr. McMahon.
Yeah,
No,
it's awesome. I almost wanted to cry at the very end. It was
No, I
Oh,
haven't
the new
seen it.
PGF documentary.
Yeah.
Can you
That's
play
what I'm
that?
talking
Can you
about.
play that here?
Yeah, we can. He's on our
It's our
channel.
channel,
So yeah, let me
Let's do it.
Hold on.
All right, let's see it.
But thank you, man. But seriously, I swear, like it's everybody though. If it wasn't for a bunch of cool people that were all like pushing the thing forward that really cared, then I wouldn't do what I do as well either. We all feed off each other.
Past year has changed everything. Once a hidden art, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is now on the world stage.
Arguably one of the biggest events in the history of jiu-jitsu.
You better have that dog in you because you're going to need it. I promise you guys.
An art once practiced in the shadows is now shining under the bright lights.
Take some risk. Whoa.
I don't want to be on the side of this concrete with Andy on my back with 2 hooks in looking like a dork. So I'm fucking jumping over couches or doing whatever the fuck it takes to get out of there because I know he's not going to let go. I know he's not going to stop.
A sport that is no longer just about passion, but about prestige and the promise of real rewards.
Get that mentality, man. I'm going to beat them up. Whoever's in front of you is just a body that can be beat.
This is the new age of jiu-jitsu, where skill meets spectacle, and one move is the difference between fortune and failure.
Bro, we're fucking in the wildlife. It's like fucking 20 dudes in here with testosterone competing against each other, trying to break each other's shit. Like, we're gonna have some shit to say.
Don't push me. Fuck you, Daniel. You're a bitch.
Yeah, he was trying to play the funny guy, so I went to him and see what he has to show.
I think my only mistake with Daniel is not smacking him in the mouth as soon as he pushed me.
It's all the same, man. I show up, do what I'm supposed to do.
Can Elijah take all of that experience that he has as a PGF champion and apply it to these high-level athletes?
They're going to sleep on me like always.
I'm not sleeping on it, Make sure you know that I'm ready.
And I don't have sons. Like I said in the interview over there, I have just daughters. And I love to see him achieve his goals, Just so happy for him.
Yeah, that last
Yeah.
Oh man, dang,
That just-
dude, I'm
that
pumped.
was tough. That was tough.
Well, not only is the documentary coming out, but then you figure 6 weeks later the new season starts.
Baby. Let's go.
So I mean,
I'm so pumped.
we had the first qualifier already in Austin, which was won by Sebastian Attard, I think it is.
It's a
I
tricky
don't know if I'm
last name to say. Yeah, you gotta be
ATTARD,
careful.
yeah.
Attard
he's
or
wild.
Attard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Attard.
Aussie guy, seems funny. He plays up to the camera a lot, which is great. We like those
Yeah.
characters, but
Gets
he's
it.
also really fucking good. I don't know if you guys watched the qualifier.
No, of course, man. I've also watched a number of his other videos.
Egg is
Brown belt.
offended. Of course. How dare you? Excuse me.
I have a job,
This
sir.
motherfucker.
No, I mean,
Excuse me?
I'm gonna make a note of that for you, Egg, to remember this. Okay.
thank you.
Remember it, write it down, take a picture of it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's why he
Yeah,
doesn't care.
don't forget.
No,
guys.
he's dangerous. He's really dangerous. He's coming out of that new wave in Austin. It seems like he was still in Australia as of like April of this year, but then moved out because you look at his smooth comp, and as of April, he was still competing in Australia. But now it seems like he's Austin full time. I'm not saying it. He said it. He said he's juiced. So I mean, if you look at some of his Instagram photos, dude is yoked.
Can we talk about this just for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
This topic.
Let's do it.
It's just this. Recently, this poor dude got suspended and got his gold medal for pants taken away because he tested positive for a metabolite for marijuana. And I'm like, they're busting these dudes for weed in this event. And then this other event, they just brag about what they're doing. Like, they're open about it. And nobody cares. It's totally cool. It's like not even a big deal. It seems like as a sport, it's just so odd that there's such a big range of approaches to how they're handling this. And on the Nogi side, it's still just like the Wild West.
So on that side, who's enforcing that rule? Do they have like a governing body or
the IBJJF uses USADA, actually.
I mean, so Tim, here's the answer: is like, who cares about IBJJF? No one cares about them anymore. They're done. They're dinosaurs. Sorry guys, I'll just say right now. Oh no, I can't pull a leg across. Oh, you're reaping. What? No one cares. Oh, I have to wear the gi. No. They are clinging to a dying landscape. So however they can keep themselves relevant, allegedly, I guess, but no. I don't get me wrong. Going up against a bunch of super sauced up dudes, not enjoyable perhaps, but is what it is, man.
Is it a problem though? Like, is that going to eventually be a challenge to massive growth? Because the athletes, they don't brag about it in CrossFit. They're not like, dude, I'm on a new trend stack brought to you by AB50. Like, Anavar's, dude, it really pushed me over the edge today. They sponsored me. Thank you. In jiu-jitsu, they're just like, yeah, man, I'm doing it. I feel good.
The thing is, too, is like, you have so many rule sets. There is no governing body that's overseeing any of this. So, yeah, it is the Wild West right now, because who's going to enforce this stuff? Like, okay, so let's say you test, positive for the Enigma show. You think the PGF is going to suspend you?
No.
You
Isn't
think,
it great, though?
You think Zapatero is going to suspend you? No.
It's such a great time to be a jiu-jitsu fan because you just get to see it. It's so raw. You get to see all of it just raw.
In 2040, we're going to be talking about this. Be like, yo, you all remember when guys were juicing? Yeah, that was wild.
So allegedly, CrossFit tests, all competitors are subject to random drug testing. So maybe that's why they don't say it, because it's in their policy. I don't know. I mean, look at those dudes. They're. I mean, who knows? I mean, but that's all they do. Their whole sport is just working out.
Well, let's. What is the purpose of taking the steroid though? Is it to, be better at jiu-jitsu, or is it to recover?
To be better at life.
Well, I mean, to recover, yes, but also to be stronger.
You still have to put in the work in the gym,
but you can
get results.
I mean, I got you. Friggin' Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa still had to be good baseball players. But you give them a little extra juicy, and all of a sudden, ball goes fly, much farther and more often. So, I mean, it's a thing.
It's good for the sport, baby. It brought everybody back after that strike. You know what I mean?
Well, we know that, but
at what cost, though?
Wallow's sitting up there with, like, in the shadow, like he's a protected witness, and he's like a distributor, and he's defending himself in a live interview on Geraldo.
My other light went out, so I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna go like this.
I don't know what the cost is. I mean, I'm not like. I think in most professional sports, most athletes are trying to figure out a way to use, or have used, or actively using, or trying to. It's just part of high performance when there's a bunch of money on the line. So it's. I don't think it's like uncharacteristic. I think it's totally it's just right now jiu-jitsu is not totally organized, so all this stuff is more exposed. Everybody can self-publish, and there's no reason not to, because there's an appetite for it. That might be what makes professional grappling so appetizing, that 3 million people would watch the Craig Jones Invitational over a weekend, is the fact that it's just raw. It's like, it's not overly restricted, and it's just out there, and these are who these guys are, and people kind of like that. Now, can it continue to grow at a rapid pace and bring in big corporate dollars? And do you even want that? I don't know. But probably when the money
you're
gets
puzzled over there.
When the money gets tight, the people are probably going to get tight-lipped.
Maybe.
Let's go, Steven. Come on, give us your thoughts. I got a point that I think is kind of along your line, perhaps.
It's tough. It's tough to say specifically what's right and what's wrong, because as mentioned, a lot of people are making, this is what they're trying to do to make their livelihood. They're trying to become, they're getting paid for this. This is how they pay their bills. But also, what is it saying when we all maybe condone that type of behavior publicly to everybody in the world that's not, maybe not into jiu-jitsu, or that are into jiu-jitsu, or, as somebody who now has young kids, now I understand a little bit better what they were arguing about with us when I was a, 10 or 11, 12, 13-year-old, and the home run race was happening, and they were talking about this stuff. I know kids in my school that started taking the androstenedione or whatever it was that Mark McGuire was taking, and we were 12 years old. One of those boys committed suicide before we graduated high school. Why? I can't tell you why. I can't say any other reason why or whatever it was. As an athlete, I've competed against in MMA guys that were very obviously juiced to the gills, and won and lost some fights with it. So I can't say for sure that it was the determining factor in any outcomes, but they would not nearly be as good or have as much energy or stamina or strength or aggression or lack of pain. They have extra pain tolerance with all that stuff, in their body, getting ready for these events, preparing for these events. It's a grind. And not that you take it away when you're doing that kind of stuff, but from what I understand, if you're able to recover so much easier and you don't get as tired as fast and it doesn't hurt as much every day, you can do twice as much work as the other person, or whatever, the number is more than the other person is, to get better. It's not a matter of like always being just stronger. It's a matter of, maybe even you think about the 10,000 hours rule, it's going to be easier for them to get to that 10,000 hours without breaking down, perhaps, if they're using that stuff. But the flip side of it is, what happens when they turn 40? Who are these guys by 30? Who are they when they start to get to a little bit older in the age? Where is their health at? What are we seeing? We see from a lot of other sports where this kind of thing has been rampant or whatever. Guys are dying early. They die early from heart disease and different, types of cholesterol related or heart, related or stress related or what brain trauma related issues. And these people can deliver more damage more consistently, more often, while they're using these things to a person, if they're not, And so I don't know that there's a right or a wrong, and you guys are right. It's definitely more entertaining when the guys are all juiced to the gills, and people are like, this the early UFC. That's what everybody loved, is these guys were all like yoked out of their minds and fighting just like wild men. It's exciting to see, but that life, man, that's a rough.
I think the difference is that, in baseball, there's, No, you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting your body. In combat sports, yeah, that's a little different. But
You're hurting somebody else.
Yeah, you're hurting somebody else.
Well, you're always
Instead
hurting
of a
somebody else when you're
ball.
taking away their opportunity, maybe that you didn't deserve.
Well, it's twofold, right? I mean, because like as Wallow and Tim were talking about, like you being stronger and able to hurt somebody more, that's a problem with your opponent. But also like you're hurting yourself. Like I mean, Tim's from the raised up in Stockton, West Coast. I mean, so Lala Zato. I mean, how old was that gentleman when he died?
Yeah, he was young.
43.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of all of us, there's only one of us younger than that guy. When he died, he if we were just like that, like juiced up to our gills, if we had the same situation, 3 out of the 4 of us would already be dead. And so that's what somewhat I understand what Steven's talking about. Like, we probably need to be.
Do we tell our kids? Do we tell
Yeah.
our children? Do we tell the next generation you have to use these drugs in order to be the best? Or do we tell them, listen, this is what it is? But exactly. So then you see this, and this is where the game is going to go now. And this, like every other sport, is going to get younger and younger. And if it's not getting younger and younger, there's some shady shit going on most of the time. There shouldn't be 40, mid-30-year-old dudes around the top of the food chain in most of these events. And it doesn't happen in Olympic wrestling and things like that either. There's a limit for this stuff. And a lot of people are doing more than they could, and I'm not the police. I'm not trying to tell on anybody specifically. I've never seen anybody do it that I know specifically. I know people that have talked about doing it. I know people who have publicly admitted doing it. I don't know how big of a deal that it is overall, but I know at the top it's a huge problem.
Well, it's an interesting thing.
I think we see the problem with, like you said, at the top guy who apparently, is juicing and then, has all these health problems. So, yeah.
Well, and that could be other stuff too, It's like
it's hard to say.
And I mean, the stress and the anxiety of trying to be number one
is got to be a lot.
Can ruin you as a person too, man. On top of all the other things, it's just there's no way to pinpoint and say this is specifically steroids or specifically using too much of a drug that enhances your performance in one way or the other. Because you can see like a TJ Dillashaw that was using like an EPO, where he would be able to sustain a higher level of performance during the thing than say other fighters who, like, he's not necessarily trying to be stronger, but during a cardiovascularly intense situation, he's going to have more than you do.
Right. That should be like one that you'd be like, you know what? I'll allow that one. Let me do that one.
I think the problem when you get into like EPO and those things, you're getting into like even more dangerous activities. The problem with steroids, I think, and I don't know if this is a worldwide problem, but especially in America, is there's just not that much education about them. And there are men who take testosterone replacement. That's a very common, way more common than what it used to be. But there's just like, nobody's really talking about it in a educated way. Usually it's still like almost like when they talked about reefer madness, and it's like, if you go too far one side, then the kids aren't going to listen to you because some of them are doing it and they're only seeing results from it. And it's hard to convince somebody of something otherwise when it seems to be working for them. It's like, okay, there has to be a different way to approach this. It is a tricky thing because you don't want kids messing with their bodies in a way that damage them long term. If a grown adult is like, hey, we see actors do it all the time, right? You see freaking Hugh Jackman get jacked for Wolverine. It's like, dude, what is that? I want the Wolverine stack. I want the Hugh Jackman Wolverine stack. That's what I want, man.
That actually is real. It helps you recover. It's called the BPC 157 and the TV 500.
Those are peptides there. Yeah.
Oh shit. And see, like that's the thing, is like where do you draw the line on what is actually
Well,
like cheating and what
yeah.
is actually okay to do. Is it okay to use something that's specifically only for recovery or only for healing injuries? And then is that ever true? If it's only
Right.
for healing, then isn't that by nature something that's kind of performance enhancing in and of itself?
It's like, where do you draw the line? It's
Yeah.
really hard. Well,
I'll
this
pop
guy
some
has
Advil
access to a stem
sometimes, you know
cell
what I'm
clinic.
saying?
Well, I mean,
Sometimes I freaking Motrin every day as soon as I wake up immediately.
I'm not necessarily against people taking steroids per se. Like, not necessarily. I'm against the abuse of it, and I'm against people competing in a situation where you're not supposed to be doing it and you're doing it, because then now that's a form of cheating, right? And it's like, I'm all for everyone trying to get an advantage. The ref resets you in jiu-jitsu, you get a better grip. That's part of the game, all right? That's expected, but not, you're going to like try to beat a drug test, or you're going to try to like get in somehow where you're not going to get tested or whatever. That's when it becomes another thing. It's just, there's nothing really agreed on. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to make it sound like these guys are all terrible. The sport's growing a lot, and I want to see it keep growing. I don't want to see everything that's popular about it be controversial, and that seems to be kind of what we do, and it's like, maybe it's the TMZ model, but it sure would be cool to see us do something really awesome, because we just did something really awesome, and it was wholesome enough that there was no like bullshit internet drama attached to it. That's where we need to get. We need to be there somehow.
Steven, if I could address your issue, I think when talking to kids, we all need to be kind of like Ken Griffey Sr. He wouldn't let his son use aluminum bats. Ken Griffey Jr. always used a wooden bat. Even though it was allowed, he always used a wooden bat because he was training him appropriately. So it's tough, because we need to like let the younger folks know, like, hey man, you're young, and even if you win now, it matters, but it's not for your life. For your life, you'll like have a long, spectrum, and think about the long term. That's what you need to do. I mean, that's the best. It was like, I saw so many people in wrestling where, they cut weight so bad, so hard,
Sure.
Just to make like 102 in high school, and they end up being like 6 inches shorter than their dads. I'm like, well, that didn't work out for you, did it?
It's not good for
But man, they went to state. Okay, but
And so that's the thing right there. Sorry to cut you off, Egg, but this is the
you're
thing
right.
that I think that this is what it really boils down to. And this is the thing I've talked to people about, and I've competed against guys that I was familiar with their coach enough to talk to their coach, and their coach is basically just flat out about what's going on or whatever, that these people are trying to pay their bills alone by doing this competition stuff. So, that's what they're doing. But man, I kind of forgot where I was going with it all. But what'd you say last, Egg?
Well, the question is like, is it worth it? I mean, because hey, guess what? Congrats, you might win state.
You might not live to be 50, but if you live to be 40 or 35, and you became a world champion during that time, and you were the best, at whatever. There's people that I've heard say in interviews, and I don't know how true it is. This is something I believe that's a young man's thought. Once you get a little bit older, you don't really maybe feel this way anymore, but they would rather die at a young age and be having that glory of being, the world champion or whatever it was, than to live to be, an older age and only ever have been a normal person. That's the kind of thing that we've got to kind of delve into, I think, when we're talking about some of these things, because that's the person that's really who's driving this stuff. You know what I'm saying? The person that's willing to do whatever it takes to be that thing.
Isn't that what we want in some way, though? As a fan, we want to see somebody that is making the ultimate sacrifice, even though that turns into the morbid in a way, but we almost fuel it.
No, that's very interesting, and I haven't really thought about it that way, but yeah,
It's an incentive, but it's sad because I mean, like that mindset, Stephen, is what drives most of our criminals. You know, a lot of those guys like slanging those drugs on the corner.
Well,
Hey,
how many of us fighters came from such a beautiful home life and background that we wanted to do this stuff? How many guys that that do jiu-jitsu are from this gated community where they're able to be completely nurtured and taken care of in a lot of ways to have those different mindsets. These guys, a lot of us are coming from nowhere trying to make something, so we don't have those lessons, and hopefully you can get them somehow, but I just don't think it has been there.
I think in the MMA field, which you obviously you were in, Stephen, very much more true. I mean, I don't know. Definitely more MMA guys are harder backgrounds. Jiu-jitsu, I don't know.
It's a bunch of dorks doing jiu-jitsu now.
Yeah, I mean, there are. I mean, I have when I was in Newbern, like a third of the guys there were doctors. It was insane.
Yeah. But how many of them are the elite competitors, though?
No. To your point.
So that's what I'm saying, though. Like, how many of these guys, the elite competitors, what are they? Where are they from? What did they see growing up? How is their life without becoming number one?
Yeah.
And whatever that thing is been there for sports across the board, and it's coming more for jiu-jitsu now that there's these $1 million prizes and the things on the way. So we need to talk about this stuff. We need to at least be having the conversation so that more people can understand, what's happening and what they can, be going up against or getting themselves into. And then, the consequences.
All they have to do is really look at the pro wrestlers from the 70s and the 80s, bro.
Brother,
it's like,
don't do steroids. You'll get buff like me, brother. We're like definitely going to try to get that.
Milk and prayers, bro. So, I mean.
All in all, though, guys, I didn't mean to bring the room down with the topic, but.
No, it's all good.
It's
I think it's important. It's not down. I think it's just something to bring up.
Yeah, it is an important thing, and it's. I think I'm more just looking at it from like, I want this thing to grow, man. I don't want anything to be a stumbling block in front of what we're doing. There's finally technology and people and interest at a large enough level that the platform's big enough that it attracts people that aren't jiu-jitsu people, and that's never happened before. It's always jiu-jitsu supporting jiu-jitsu. Don't take my slice of the pie because there's not enough, and it's not. That those floodgates have like opened up, and it took enough people thinking that they didn't want that pie. They were trying to make a different pie. They're trying to eat out of a different pie. Once you develop that mentality, then you start eating. And we're getting there. So I think that's pretty cool. It's awesome to see, man.
No, it's crazy to be here and be a part of it, being this big, and even people getting paid anything to do it. Jiu-jitsu. It's kind of crazy. And that was like one of the things I was going to ask with you, Tim, when I was getting ready for the show a little bit, is like with the Inside BJJ podcast, you've been a media, if you want to air quote it or not, I don't know how that goes, what the right term is, but you've been a media member of jiu-jitsu for, 12 years now?
Yeah,
is that
12?
Yeah. So what could you like comment that as someone who's been a member of like the media side of it, interviewing athletes and talking about jiu-jitsu, what has changed on like that aspect of the sport? Can you comment on that some?
Yeah, sure. What hasn't changed is we were talking about steroids back then too. Guys were accusing each other of using it also. They're like, he's so strong. Oh, how dare you accuse me, bro?
The ultimate diss is that he's strong, man. You're really strong,
dude. His grips are so strong. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's where the whole like Hinato Laranja, Acai Bomba, like all these guys were using the steroids and all that. There was like a big, that was always going around. Well, there were a lot of attempts to launch like a showcase jiu-jitsu show in the past that were one-offs where, they would do it and it was kind of a cool idea, but they couldn't get a live gate, and they didn't really have the streaming technology like pre 2010 was not that great. Like we're kind of living in a time where we forget how crappy it was, and you weren't doing it from your phone. There was none of that was going on. That didn't exist. So the promotions that tried to pull it off, they had a rough product, you know, and so many of them would do one show and that was it. And then Metamoris came around and they had a real slick looking modern design and product, and it cost a lot of money, but they pulled it off, and they had a lot of technical glitches on the streaming side, but they managed to pull it off. It was a pretty big event. And I remember going to it and feeling like this is pretty cool. You know, maybe this is going to be like this new wild thing. Like, you know, everyone was kind of excited, but at the event, they did it in this arena in San Diego. It was at one of the colleges. I can't remember the name of it. There was nobody there. It was like hardly filled at all. And we realized like everyone here is a friend of somebody in the show right now. They're either friends of them or coaches of them, or they work on the show, or they're
teammates.
Yeah, teammates, you know, aunties, uncles, comped tickets. So, you know, you just realize like the audience wasn't really there. The intention was there, but it just really wasn't a viable model. And I got to tell you, I think EBI was the first promotion, like showcase show that sustained itself and kept going. And, you know, I know Eddie did it at a couple different spots in the beginning. And then for a while, they had a good run at the Orpheum. And I think that gave them stability, and they were able to just do show. And for a while, it felt like the Monday Night Wars, the old wrestling Monday Night Wars with EBI and Metamoris, and they were going back and forth. And it was really fun to cover it. And a lot of people were paying attention in the jiu-jitsu world because just, you know, we were the only people covering it. Just jiu-jitsu people were covering their own stuff. And so there was an appetite for it. Thank God there were podcasts, because you couldn't really do quality video stuff at all. So it was just all audio. And in a way, it kind of just directed everybody to one kind of piece of content, which was kind of cool. But over time, obviously, it changed. And it changed after COVID, I would say. I think COVID was a weird ringing out of like, okay, who's real and who's not, who's going to stick around and who's not going to stick around. And right after that, you started to see within a couple of years, organizations make big jumps. And I think ADCC already made a big jump pre-COVID. They had a huge step up in their production and their quality. And whether people like Seth or not, Fight to Win has been putting on a traveling jiu-jitsu show for years, and they zigzag the country. They do shows in cities every Friday night of the week. They sell these places out. It's like half rock show, half jiu-jitsu show. They showcase local talent. They bring in good regional guys. So that's also something that has been sustained. I don't know what the growth is, but you know, they've been doing that for a long, long time now. And so we've kind of seen a few organizations be able to pull it off and get out there. And I think now what we're seeing is that second iteration of shows that were convinced by EBI that, you know what, we could do this. Like, we could actually do something even more suitable for the viewing audience, even more appetizing to people at home. And we see it with PGF. We see it with CJI. I think ADCC has a good product, but it didn't change that much. But if you like that kind of thing, it's awesome. But we have WNO, and we have other events that they're fun to watch now. So as a media person, it's been really entertaining just to kind of watch that whole piece of it blow up. And there's a whole new crop of stars, which is kind of odd. And most of them are like social media stars, and they have a presence in there, like a strong presence there. If you don't have a strong presence there, you're almost not going to get on the shows now. So that's been kind of an interesting switch up in the game. But, you know, people still talk to me. I feel like I've been the Forrest Gump of jiu-jitsu. I just end up being at all these cool places almost on accident. It's just like, sometimes I go back and look at photos and I'm like, oh, that was cool, man. I remember that. But I'm really lucky that I was able to do it. And I really was just a nerd who wanted an excuse to talk to my heroes. and it's hard just to go up and ask him a bunch of questions if you don't have some reason. And my wife, on a trip back from World's Jiu-Jitsu in 2010, we were driving back home, and I'm like, I got to do something with jiu-jitsu. And we were thinking of names. What could we call it? And she helped me come up with Inside BJJ. And I was like, that's great. Nobody's got that. And I snapped that up, and it's been pretty great ever since. All the cool stuff that I got to do in jiu-jitsu, the doors were open to me through Inside BJJ. So it's been pretty awesome. Never made any money off of it, but damn, I've made a lot of cool friends and done a bunch of dope stuff. So totally worth it, man.
Dude,
So,
go ahead.
We've said it before, Tim. I think you've heard it, but just to say it again for maybe the fans out there listening, like the first thing we did as a PGF Insiders Airbnb when we got back from PGF last season, every night, the first thing we did was put on your show. Because the bullpen,
thank you.
Pre and post show were killer. Were amazing, game changers, just taking things to another level. I mean, obviously you've just done, the pre and post show plus the fight companion with CJI and ADCC. So what's the goal? What's next? I mean, where are you taking this? I mean, you and Raph have been around, as has been pointed out, for more than a decade in this game. Where are you taking this?
Yeah. Well, first, I got to say Raph is really, really good at what he does. He's fantastic. And I've known Raph for a long time. He started the Verbal Tap comedy podcast. It was a podcast about jiu-jitsu and MMA about 3 weeks before I started Inside BJJ. And in the beginning, I would see these guys in the rankings, and I'm like, who the fuck is this, yo? Like, who's doing another jiu-jitsu show, And we crossed paths a bunch. And also Paul Moran, rest in peace, who ran the Open Mat Radio. He was actually out of Las Vegas. He was another one of a trio of dudes who were kind of like really pushing it as hard as we could. And I would say Raph and I were always, we were friends, but we had like a long running feud on our shows where we would downplay each other's shows to the point that people were like, I don't think these guys like each other like at all. But we never really worked in collaboration together until the Bullpen at season 6 for the PGF. And so when Brandon reached out to me to do that, one is like I had taken a long break from doing a lot of podcasting stuff. I moved from California, went through a lot of crazy stuff when COVID happened and California really locked down pretty hardcore. And so I went through a lot of changes, and I kind of pulled back from some of the jiu-jitsu extracurricular stuff outside of running a pirate gym, with the walls black, with the windows blacked out and trying to stay afloat. I was really laying low. And I think I probably shouldn't have let off the gas, probably now in hindsight, but when I wanted to pick it back up again, it wasn't, maybe 3 or... And I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast tonight. Do you want to jump in? And it just kind of started from right there. And he's like, hey, I want to do this pre-show thing. And then he connected me with Raph. He's like, well, Raph is going to be like running it. And I was like, oh, Raph is going to be running it. All right. So, we did our first show together, and after the PGF, I pulled him aside and we were chatting, and I said, I think that we work better together than independently. I think when we collaborate on things together, we actually can produce a very unique, high quality kind of product. And just keep it up. Let's keep doing the Bullpen. And we did. And originally we were trying to do the Bullpen at Thomas Mack Arena. This is what we were gunning for. We're like, we both have had Craig Jones on our shows before. We figured we got an inside lane with BMAC. We can see if we could, do some diplomatic communication and get something pulled off. And there was a conversation, and it was close, but it wasn't quite close enough to pull it off. And we were a little disappointed, but Raph, he called me just like, what if we just do it anyway? Like, how would it work? And I'm like, well, where would we put a studio? So we started looking at all these Airbnbs and these studio spaces, and I'm like, man, we got to do this on a shoestring. And at the time, we didn't have any sponsors, so we were just going to, like, do it. And I'm like, I'm just going to call up Coach Casey. Like, he is freaking been one of the best influences for me in jiu-jitsu. He was somebody that I view as a mentor. I still do. Had a lot of conversations with him, a lot of advice from him, even before I was 10th Planet, and I just had other gyms in the past. I've always looked up to Coach Casey. So I was like, hey, man, I'm going to kind of ask you something. But it worked out great because the gym was mostly closed, although we did work around an open mat challenge. That turned out really fun to broadcast with 80 sweaty dudes doing jiu-jitsu all around you at the same time. But, yeah, we just decided to go do it, man, and we really had a good time. I think what we're trying to do, Egg, you asked with the Bullpen, is we're trying to produce a high-quality sports show that other sports have that jiu-jitsu doesn't have. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create something elevated. And one of the things that we got in terms of feedback was that, hey, I was looking for the Bullpen on Google, and there's no Bullpen. Well, it's because it's like a collaboration of Raph and I, and we haven't ever officially like productized it or given a presence online in that manner. But the person goes, but the broadcast looks so good, I assumed that this was there would be this big online presence behind it. Like, this is a real professional thing. But then when I went to Google and looked for it, I couldn't find anything. It was almost like this got leaked out, and it wasn't supposed to be out. It was just something that was like a fake thing or something that's not real. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take that as a compliment. One, it's a good problem to have. It's like, okay, we should do a little more in the branding area. Like, that's great. That's an awesome problem. But two is like, you thought the product was good enough that it confused you that you couldn't find something else behind it. So that was promising. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put something cool out, and, we want somebody to pick it up. We're trying to be enterprising Americans. I'm red-blooded, baby, and Papa's got to eat. So let's go, man. And I love jiu-jitsu, and I've been banging on this for a long time now. So it's been a dry creek bed for many years, and I got my ground to the ear, man. Got my ear to the ground, and I hear water coming, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Somebody give this man some water. He's ready.
So Brandon didn't have to like twist your arm to get back into it. You jumped in right away.
Yeah, I jumped in. I really love Brandon. I've known him for a long time he's just one of those people that I got closer and closer to him over the years. He was an internet friend on SureDog, and then he was a podcast friend who called in and played a song, and then he was a 10th Planet homie who had a gym in Decatur, and then he was a neighbor 90 minutes down the road from me. And so I've always enjoyed saying yes to whatever he asked to do, because it's always fun. And, I love doing the Battle Royal when he did the Battle Royal down there. Like, that was one of the funnest things for me of all time. And because he just lets me act like an idiot. And I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go.
He wants that.
He wants it. And I love that about him. He's always encouraged me to just be who I am. And that's what he wants. And so it's like, I can do that, and I believe in what he's doing. And, sometimes the closer you get to people, the more you learn about them, and you're like, but Brandon's not like that. The closer you get, the more you learn in a good way. And so I really appreciate his friendship, and just someone in the jiu-jitsu world. It's kind of cool to see somebody blow up, like just, them before, see them grind, see the work, hear them talk to you about the work, watch them do the work, and then just see the work pay off. It's like, yes, because if he could do that, I could do that, you could do that, we can do that. So that's what motivates me, man. But no arm twisting, dude. I was all in. I had to catch up though, dude. Big time. Yeah.
You're talking about like watching back the seasons and stuff?
Yeah, it was tricky. I relied on Egg a lot. I'd be like, "Hey, Egg, what's the scoop on this, dude?" Because I don't have time to watch 23 hours of Brandon, or people be like, "Oh, you didn't watch season 2?" I'm like, "Whoa, what part?" You know. So, good stuff though, man. It's a great PGF is really cool. When you really catch it, it's cool, man. It's a neat.
So how much do you think that the PGF kind of may or may not have pushed forward some of this big money payout stuff in some of these other events this year?
I think that it was like, this is what the PGF and I think CJI's relationship is kind of like when you go to a really nice place to eat and they bring out this appetizer that you're like, I could have just had this for my meal. This is amazing. This is great. And you think that that's the thing, and then they bring out an even bigger meal, and you're like, oh shit, they could do this too. I feel like the PGF, when it came out, was like, this could be it. This is amazing. And it proved to Craig Jones, because it wasn't too long after that. You know, I know the rumblings weren't public, but there is a grapevine in jiu-jitsu, and news travels one way or the other, or so I've heard, you know? And so it was like, hey, Craig's going to do something. And, you know, I'm sure that payout and that amount of publicity was encouraging. And some of the people paying attention to that were people that ended up working on the production. So for sure, I think it whet the appetite perfectly. And I think PGF is in a good place to come back and be dessert and be like, hey, season 7's on the table, baby. Let's
right
go.
Now, dude, right now.
It's perfect. It's
so,
well
Steven,
played.
To that point, I mean, it's you see this throughout history where something, just an idea, just has its time. Like it's kind of percolating, it's in the ether, and then all of a sudden, like, multiple people will come out with that same type of idea, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, just to go more classical, historical, Sir Isaac Newton and Leibniz both came up with the calculus at the same time. And there's a question about who actually came up with the idea, but the idea was that, like, the precursors were already percolating, and it was just that time for calculus to happen. So we saw that the PGF came out with 100. Go ahead.
I think it was Robert Palmer and Rod Stewart both came out with Some Guys Have All the Luck at the same time. 2 songs, different songs, sound very similar, produced in the same year.
There you go. I mean, it's just like things have, it's their time.
Things happen.
So we saw PGF with $100,000 and Zapatero $100,000, like right on top of each other, like within weeks of announcing. Now CJI. A day. I mean, just like that close. Like, I mean, we're very lucky right now. It's time. It's time for the grapplers to get paid. It's time for this to become like a no kidding, real deal sport. It's we are the sport of kings. They talked about, like, how many people we saw, all the billionaires are doing it. The Trumps all have, like, they're all doing jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is where it's at. And so it's about time that this becomes like mainstream, not just practitioners, but I mean, nothing wrong with all of us all supporting it, but like people are going to start really, really being fans of this.
I think something else important happened too with the season 7 qualifier is that the PGF released like a 35-minute condensed version of it, which is really important product-wise in terms of getting something out that people can consume in one sitting. And I think that now that they flex that muscle and you start seeing results from that, that's going to be a really helpful thing moving forward. Because
it's definitely been something that's talked about, which way was the right way? Should we keep going and showing up live and doing these qualifiers and playing it all live for everything that it takes to do that? Or is it better to pre-record, get it all on film and then edit it down to be the best, maybe whatever amount of time that we can have, whereas instead of 2 hours of all this kind of dead space in between matches and you're kind of hem-hawing around a little bit, waiting for the next thing to kick off. I think the edited down version was a lot better too.
Yeah, one thing is like you're
But
selling.
could you do both?
You probably want to do both at a certain level. You probably want to do both for, like, say, the actual event or the actual finals. You may want that to be a live product, because live sports is where it's at, man. There's a reason why Netflix wants the WWE. There's a reason why ESPN is trying to figure out how they're going to keep the UFC. There's a reason why all these streaming platforms are trying to pick up some kind of live entertainment, because that's where the advertising dollar is for sure. But there definitely is something to be said for creating a 30-minute product that can be pitched to a distribution platform, because that's what they're trying to pick up. They may not be trying to pick up your 2-hour or 4-hour live stream, but you start shooting 30-minute episodes out, man, those are snacks right there.
That's what they want.
There's a lot of big appetite online.
I think as we grow,
I'm just gonna.
No, I was just gonna say, I think as we grow, I think those qualifiers are gonna become more important, and they're gonna be like almost like their own show. You know what I mean? Especially once more people get to know about the PGF, and money starts flowing in with the sponsors and all that stuff, and the purses are getting bigger. I think that those qualifiers are going to draw a huge amount of people, not only to compete, but I see it in the comments all the time. It's like, yo, can we come in and watch the qualifiers? So there's also the interest for people to see who's going to win these qualifiers. So it has the potential of being, an event too, just like the regular season.
So did you guys watch the Shugio Invitational, Nathan Orchard's show happened like in 2020, 2019?
I made a commercial for it. Shugio.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I've been kind of bummed it never came back. It was so amazing. So to Steven's point, they did something similar. So they had, like a quick hit, like a 15-minute, 20-minute or whatever cut of a match. Even it was sub only, no time limit. So you had a match. I forget which one it was, but it went over an hour.
I think Keith Krikorian went for a long time in one of his matches.
It was. Yeah. So they actually like switched out rash guards. They like mopped down the mats. It was so wild. Right. But it gave you both, because it gave you that snack size bit. But then also like a week later or another time, they'd also give you the whole thing if you wanted. So right. I mean, maybe to the point of, okay, maybe we can do live, but then they also like the big thing is, hey, they give you the edited portion too. So for all the fans, like, a certain former member of the PGF Insiders that, is doing his hee-haw farming thing, he can hit that 30-minute show, and that's great, and it was fun. But us diehards, like, hey, man, I want my eggs and my PGF at 10 a.m.
Trucker breakfast. I have a trucker breakfast, and I watch man wrestling every day.
There we go. But I mean,
I think the problem with a lot of that, though, is the venue has to have like great enough Wi-Fi signal, and the connections and everything it takes to put on a quality live event is going to be lacking if we do it the way that we have been doing it compared to what we're looking for with our PGF level events that we're looking to do now. So I think just throwing up a live qualifier with the way that we've kind of been doing it before,
it's not slick
enough. Not the look that we want anymore going forward. We want to have that more polished, more like quality viewing experience for everybody, rather than the Blair Witch Project kind of thing that we had to do sometimes.
Well, it's just not there yet. I mean, so
no, that's what I'm saying. Is like I think there's a time for it to come back, but I just don't think that time's right now.
No, you're right. You're right. And Isaac did a great job of cutting that up and making it look great, and it was a good 30-minute, production, and I really appreciate it. But just like, the old school PGF, super fan, I miss, even if it's a little Blair Witch, which honestly it wasn't too bad ever. I mean,
Bro, what are you
honestly,
talking
like,
about?
no
It's
matter
like
It was hard, dude. No, I'm not saying that necessarily that was bad. It was hard. Like it was hard for the production team. It was hard for Brandon and Keelan.
No, I got
They
you.
had to spend, tons of money to get everybody there, the equipment
No,
there to
got
set
it,
up.
got it.
Da, da, da. So like that's the thing I'm saying. On the back end, the things that everybody doesn't see is
Sure.
probably the reason that it's not happening more than they don't think that it's good content or good like value for people to see it. It's just not time wise worth.
It's not economically feasible right now. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, I
like,
got
you're
you.
talking
And
about
Wallow,
watching it
so
live.
he's a photographer.
You're talking about watching it live. I want to be there for all the qualifiers. I just can't. I would love to be at all of them.
Yeah. It's I think what happens is the more you professionalize and elevate your product, the more complex it is to do live. It's a live production is a different animal than a pre-recorded edited. There's no edits, man. And it requires a lot of people to keep the plane flying. That's what makes it fun, though, actually, and that's what lets you capture a certain kind of energy. But I don't blame those guys for not wanting to do it at the qualifiers. I get it, and maybe someday you guys are right. Maybe someday there is more on that production side, and when the money's there to do it, it's nice. Then you do it.
Yeah,
like okay,
You just run a bigger risk of letting people down trying to do it live with that expectation that they're going to have a quality product, and then whatever happens, and then the sound's off, or the video stalls, or the internet goes down, and we're going to record it, and we're going to make sure you guys get the very best that we can give you, and then maybe they can release the thing in its entirety, like Egg said, Shigeo did at some point also, if you're really, really into it. But I really don't think the need to see it live right in the moment is necessarily there right now. Personally.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It was a good, and they dropped it pretty quickly too, which was cool. It wasn't like you had to wait for 2 weeks. It was pretty.
No, they're serious about it.
Yeah. Well, Isaac says some things that I read them and I'm like, wait, what did he write? And then I read it again and I'm like, damn, man, that really made sense when I read it a second time. You have to absorb it though. You have to take it in. You have to let it sit on your skin for a little bit.
He's special, but he's a quality human for sure.
Solid. Oh yeah, man.
Good dude.
I had a great time working with him.
Definitely.
The PGF crew in general, I felt like it was so easy to work with everybody.
Somebody's dog got in the water.
That's Egg.
No, it's my kids are in the pool.
Instead of using his studio, he's outside. It's okay.
Got to enjoy that weather, man. Yeah, everyone was so nice to work with. It's just like everyone's cool. It's so
Did you
refreshing.
feel welcome right away, or did it take a minute?
No, I felt welcomed right away. Like everyone was just, a lot of people I already kind of knew or had a relationship with in some capacity. Some folks I didn't know as well, never worked with, but the environment was very exciting and professional, and it was fun. It was like, damn, we're gonna do this. Like, this is cool. We've been trying to pull something off like this for a minute, So that was really.
It's like a grind, but it's like a fun grind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think because you're creating something and it's about a subject that you really love. Like at the end of this, if tomorrow something happened and they're like, look, you're never allowed to broadcast or talk about jiu-jitsu again. We're taking it completely off the air. You cannot do it. I'd still be going down to Decatur and rolling with you guys. We'd still be training, and it'd still be about jiu-jitsu and the rolls in the end of it. And that's what's so cool about it. I don't think I would have the passion or the energy or the willingness to sacrifice to do these things if it was skateboarding or breakdancing or surfing and it was just like, hey, we like you. We think you're cool. Come do this. I don't think I would do it. But because it's jiu-jitsu, it's like, dude, I love jiu-jitsu. This is awesome. Let's do this. So, and my kids think I'm cool now. For years, I was the dorky dad in the den with his Radio Shack. Half I got from a box of leftovers at church, and then the other half of equipment was, stuff that wasn't made for podcasting because nobody knew what a podcast was. And my kids were just like, that's Dad's dorky stuff that he's doing. But now my kids are like, oh, you went to CJI, huh? When can I go with you on one of these trips? Do you think I was like, hey man, you got to learn how to produce. You got to produce. If you're going to be in this crew, you got to produce. You got to.
Been telling you for years.
You got to produce.
Work.
It's no free brides, man. Everyone's got to provide. It goes. The money goes up, dog. It doesn't go down. Let's go. What you got for me? How many viewers you got? What do you got? What can you do?
What are you looking forward to this season, though?
I'm looking. Okay, a couple things. One is I'm looking for a change, perhaps, in the engagement from the coaches. I think that we might see a little more engagement from the coaches, and I would be interested in not that the coaches weren't engaged last time, but not all of them were publicly engaged during the matches. I think some guys contributed greatly in the behind the scenes training room, and that is a very valuable thing that you can't put a cost on as well. But at the same time, for the viewer, they need to see. They like seeing Dean Lister down there going, turn into the choke, turn in. He can't choke if you turn it. Just keep turning in, keep turning in.
Hell yeah.
They like that. They want to see that. That's why you have a coach, right? I actually hate watching events where the coach is 35 feet away from the mat space. It's like, why are we put that coach down there, man? That's his coach. At least give him one guy. In MMA, they get 3 dudes in their corner. Like, give them one dude. So I want to see that because these are legendary dudes, man. And I want them to be mic'd up. I would love to hear what they're saying. I think we should lobby Brandon to do that and be like, let's mic those dudes up. At least get a couple of them to agree to it for some features during the broadcast or something. That would be great.
Listen, I heard some stuff. I was standing by some coaches and stuff during the thing, and
you heard some stuff maybe should be
not even like bad, but just the conversation was like, oh, okay, that's cool to hear how he feels like right now in this moment after like his guy just completely shit the bed, and then next match the guy that they didn't expect to win just crushed it or whatever it was, and just to see like the conversation switch back and forth. It was really fun for me to be able just to be like a fly. Again, I just love this shit, man. So being able to be there up close and like be a part of it, I'm just excited. So definitely, I would love to have like the coaches mic'd up for even like a post show. To reproduce it if we can't get it always like live or whatever it is, but something to maybe to throw some of that up on the bullpen, even be like, hey, we got this cool interaction from the coaches or whatever. We would like to highlight, Hodger really like giving his guys some great advice during this really important match, on night 2.
I think what that does is it highlights the importance of the coach, and also the PGF needs to consistently bring in big names to be coaches. That is a very smart way of attaching yourself to the historical past and the greats. And one of the ways you do it is you show out these coaches. So these other dudes sitting at home watching go like, damn, I want to do that. Like, I want to coach a team. I want to be down. I want the fucking mic on me. I want the camera on me. I want him to catch me talking my guy through a go-go plata. Like, hell yeah, I want to do it. So I think that's something that would be super valuable. And I'm interested in seeing the athlete engagement because things have changed. There's 2 dudes that are walking around with 1 million bones right now, and we know that's pre-tax. Uncle Sam's going to get his beak wet, and okay, God bless. Don't come after me. But
gotta pay for these roads,
that's a lot of roads. How much asphalt do they need, Steven? There's 2
taxation
dudes.
is theft. I said it.
There's two dudes walking around with a pretty big sack right now, and I think that
somebody should drain it.
That's going to catch some eyeballs, and a lot of these guys get it, but a lot of them don't quite get it yet. And it's like, if you want to be a professional athlete, it doesn't mean you just compete and win the money. It means you also do the other things that are required for you to be considered a professional, which means you show up, you make yourself accessible, you represent the right way. You could still say what you want to say and have an audience and keep your persona in yourself, but also make it a win for the organization that's putting you on. Everyone's got to give everyone a rub. We're not so far along that we could just be like, I'm done with you guys. I don't need you. I'll go make my money somewhere else. It's like, good luck. It's a small community, man. Like, best of luck to you.
Sorry to cut you off here. This the ADHD kicked in really hard on this one. This is something that's been bothering me a lot lately from guys. If it's your moment, if you just did this thing and you just won and like everybody's attention's on you, do not bring up someone else that's not like actively going to be your next like opponent or the person that you want to get at that may be like above you. Do not use that as an opportunity to punch down. Try to use that opportunity as a chance to elevate yourself, your team, or whatever's going on around you, because you're just passing the rock off to some other dude who's not even part of the show right now. And you're giving them the credit. So take your time and use it wisely. If you need to make a call out, of people making a call out at CJI, the Craig, the Gordon Ryan name came up. I think Nick Rodriguez's call out with $1 million. That was the appropriate way and the appropriate time to do something like that versus maybe in a prelim match going on and on about something like that, where there's nothing really that's going to happen yet. You know what I'm saying? So like, use that time wisely, and it's not to give shine to somebody that's not even there or somebody that's not like at your level even. Don't give it to somebody that's lower than you. You should only be looking to elevate yourself or your people around you at that time.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for these guys, because they have to realize that they are performers and they want to be treated like performers, and I think they should be. They're putting in that same amount of work, but this is not like just racing where two people, even in racing, you see these sprinters line up, they all have ways to distinguish themselves. Some have chains, some have crazy looking shoes, some of them have long, crazy nails, crazy hair, wild sunglasses, because they're performing. And it's part of the show. And so if you're going to be on the PGF and you're going to compete and be an athlete, you have to ask yourself, what is the brand for this show? And what role am I playing? Where do I fit in this show? Why did they bring me in? What did they bring me in to do? Right. And then do that to the best of your ability. And you turn your personality up, maybe turn it to 11. Maybe you're on 7, but you're going to crank it up a little bit.
Louder.
Trying to keep it within the spirit of the event, though, and realize, like, I'm a professional. I'm trying to big this shit up because I'm here. I want to be back. And the more I put into this, the more willing they're gonna be to bring me back. It's a great point. It's just there's still, and I don't even mean this in a bad way, because I'm trying to be a professional myself. There's a lot of amateurs in a sport that's going professional, and eventually the distance between the two are going to be so great, and some people are going to be left on the amateur side, and they're going to be really upset about it. They're going to think they belong on the professional side, but because they don't conduct themselves like professionals, they won't be there. And there's going to be other dudes that they're like, I'm better than that guy. He sucks. I beat him at purple, blah, blah, blah. But they're professionals, and they're going to be the ones making the money and doing the stuff. And it happens in all the sports. There's a million dudes that know guys that were better than Tony Hawk or whoever, but it's like, yeah, okay, but how did he market himself? How did he conduct himself? What were his relationships like? We're still humans, man.
Yeah, nobody ever heard of that other guy's video game.
Yeah, it's like, right.
So.
And if you're gonna go, unless you're gonna be the guy that beats everybody and never loses, good luck, because there's like hardly anybody like that, especially in grappling. Every tournament, 90% of the people go home a loser. There's only a select few, and those guys usually don't win the next one. It's just, that's the nature of the game. So you gotta You got to bring something else to the table if you want people to put money in your pocket for it. You know, there's a lot of guys can omoplata, but can you omoplata and like be a cool personality while you do it? Because we'll pay for that.
No, to Tim's point, I mean, there's when I saw other people doing interviews during ADCC or things like that, I straight up wanted to fight them. Like, damn it, so Isaac and I, this is what we're doing. Damn it, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, he gave me the microphone and said, "Hey, do you want to interview some people?" And I was like, "Man, I'm really like, I'm not like in that like mental space right now. It's weird, you know, when I'm at the PGF and it's expected that I'm gonna interview people and stuff. Totally good with it, and it feels easy. But for some reason at CJI, it just felt like, I don't know. This is not like the vibe that I'm in right now, is to be doing like interviews or whatever it was in that way. So that was interesting too, as a side thing on that the show.
Well, I mean, you're set up for, you know, hey, this is what you're gonna do. You're not gonna be on screen. You're gonna be the voice.
But then I went on screen and ripped my pants in half. But you know.
But see, that's what adds to the charm of what we're doing, you know, is that we pull a dude in who's kind of like agreeable because he's a homie, but it's kind of like, bros, like for real, like for real, you're going to pull me into this shit, right? He's got a cold one in his hand and he's like,
I'm ready.
You're all going to get me to do this right now. And we're like, yep, ready, go.
Shit, I'm glad I'm not on camera. I'm behind the camera.
Man, it's exciting. And like they told me that at first, they're like, you're not going to be on camera or whatever at all. So it'll be cool. And I was like, fine, I'm still going to be like suited up just in case of whatever. Yeah. And the thing. And then they're like, you know what? We are going to put you on camera. Is that okay? And I was like, of course, that's going to be okay, because I want to be loved here. I want people to recognize my face and see me as this person too. You know, the hard work and, you know, all the craziness going into it. And then definitely busting the seams was a good experience, man. Like that's what I say, is like in my mind, I was like, listen, this is likely as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
And you're still crushing it. So fuck it. Let's ride. Like, you're supposed to be here. We're just gonna hang out till these other suit pants get here, and then we're gonna just keep letting it ride, you know.
Makes for a great story now, though, right?
No, for sure, man. And it made it like a real thing, you know, rather than just I came in and I did this job and got paid or whatever and like did it and it was cool. It was like, and I ripped my pants. So like there's also like the real side of the real person still exists. You know what I'm saying? There's not just like a movie where everything goes perfect.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what were your nerves like, for lack of a better word? What was your energy like right before, you know, bam, going live with CJI versus the nerves you felt as a competitor right before stepping on the mats to do something that was really important to you?
Oh man, wow, that's a good question. I think the energy's similar in lots of ways, you know, because it's performance based and you're looking to get up and you know, do the best that you can. But I feel like the job that I have now versus the job that I had when I was a competitor are opposite like sides of the spectrum. When I was competing, and this again, I could see where maybe this wasn't always the better tactic, but I didn't necessarily care as much about being entertaining or entertaining everyone as much as I wanted to be effective and I wanted to try to win. And sometimes trying to win is not going to be the most entertaining thing that would happen. You know, I wanted to be entertaining, but I knew, you know, against certain people, you're going to have to be boring and you're going to have to slow it down. And you're going to, you know, if the crowd's booing, you're probably winning this fight. You know, that was the mentality going in sometimes as the competitor, because you're not always going to be the favorite. But when I was coming in, like for, you know, PGF prior to season 6, it was just, you know, for funsies. There wasn't really like a ton of like seriousness that I mean, I was taking it very serious, obviously, because I think I take everything very serious. Just like my personality. But prior to that, it was like, man, like I really have like a responsibility to carry the energy of this thing, like, and almost in its entirety, because when it opens and when it starts, that's what's going to carry us. You know, the first matches, the first people walking out, and what they hear the first time is like, that's it. And so leading up to CJI, was talking with Brandon and, you know, different guys that were part of the production team about, you know, like, what do I do here? What do I say to like open this thing? Like, you know, hello everybody, welcome to, you know, I want to do like the
hello everybody,
right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
I didn't want to do that either because that's not necessarily my personality. At least, like, you know, unless I did the shtick version of that, which didn't feel right either. You know, to do like a pro wrestling bit for this thing, and so Brandon was like, you know, you should just really go hard. Whatever it is, you need to open it up with something that's just like, you're just going to go hard and let it go. And so we talked about some stuff, and he's like, I think you should lead with like, it's CJI, you know, just like boom, the thing that I said in the beginning. And nobody knew that's what I was going to say. So they were like, count me down or whatever, like 3, 2, 1. And I just nailed it. And I was like, oh shit, that was great. And they're like, oh wait, hold on, that did not go on the broadcast. Can you do that again? And I was like, I don't know, son. That was the best one I ever had.
Pants. What the hell?
That was the best one I've ever had. And you're asking, can I do it again?
One more time with more enthusiasm, please. We need it for the broadcast.
I can do it again. I can do it again. And so
and
just like,
cut again.
Sent it hard, and just from there, just kind of almost passed out a little bit. You know, just kind of went into the job. I did though, like hearing like the people there and the crowd, and you know, being at the center like of the attention in a way was like, you know, that's the thing I never got as an athlete, and that was one of the things I kind of posted about a little bit today. Is like, I missed that. I wanted it bad. I tried to get there. I tried to be into the UFC. I did Ultimate Fighter tryouts. I did ADCC trials multiple times. I've done, you know, bunches of things to try to like get myself over as the athlete. I did PGF in season 2 to try to win. Was, you know, just didn't have that, you know, at that time to be able to be that guy. And so it never really like presented itself for me to be there. But, you know, all that hard work in preparation and all the things I understood about the game and the life and what it takes and the energy that I would have wanted from people that, you know, would have done the job that I, you know, I'm doing now had I had the choice to say so, and, you know, how to treat all the athletes top to bottom as somebody special because they are, and not just, you know, the top 1 or 2 guys that people see or are making the money, you know? So it was an opportunity for me to really like, I don't know, like put my heart into it in a way that I didn't get a chance to as an athlete. So I was like not nervous as much as I was like super excited and more like ready to like do the show versus the athlete. I was always maybe a little bit skittish and scared of the opportunity and didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So I think one prepared me for the other, if I could be honest.
Yeah. And I think to your point, like when you go out to start the show, it's super important. It's super nerve-wracking because you know, like you're going to set the tone just like you said. But you also know that if you prepare and you go out and you do it, you're going to win. Mm-hmm. Whereas like on the grappling side, you could prepare and go out and do it, and you can still get your ass kicked, you know? And it's like, man, at least on the performance side, yes, you could flub up. And I think the big fear for most people is that they just go blank or they forget what they're saying or they freeze up, which is rarely ever happens. You know what I mean? Not that it couldn't, but it's kind of rare. And if you prepare, you get ready, like you're going to do a great job. Everybody's supportive in that environment. So it's more exciting, I guess, in a fun way, would you say? Like, it's kind of like you're not dreading it. Like, I got to get this shit over with.
Right.
You know, there's a sense of relief after your match, win or loss, where you're like, okay, at least it's done. I wanted to win or I did win, but fuck, now I'm going to go eat. You know, like now I'm going to calm down and eat.
Yeah, and some of that wasn't even like the wins weren't even as gratifying because you always knew there was another like opposition coming up, or the next tournament, or this tournament wasn't as big as other tournaments, or
Yeah.
like I'm still looking to get, man, I'm looking at on an invitational, or I'm looking at, whatever the next big thing was that was coming up. And so this regional show that I won and dominated everybody on, I was supposed to do that. So it didn't feel as good, always as the athlete, because I just kind of had a higher expectation, I think, for myself. Whereas kind of like we talked about here is like, this was just kind of two mics handed to me. And I just started going to work with like, my spirit, and the love of the game. And I think that's the difference. Is like I had a true love of the game as the competitor, but I was just always afraid of the consequences. And with this, I've just kind of went all in and not really cared about what, the consequences could be of not having a good show, because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome, dude.
Now you do, though.
I still haven't had one. So I'm waiting. I ripped my pants. Like I've messed up. I have bad like
you did
moments.
so good that you ripped your pants off. You did your Hulk Hogan with your butt.
Listen, I just got to get the tearaways.
You need the
pants for the
NBA
next show.
breakaways. Yeah, dude. Some
so money, baby. You don't even
I
know.
bet you
Gotta
can get
talk
some
to
at
Craig.
Dillard's.
I know Craig's got some guys. They brought him in some pants for his stuff. So we'll work it out. Maybe niggas will be part of the show from now on. You know what I'm saying? People want to
Snap them off.
see your boy just rip them out here. I don't know.
Maybe
know.
after intermission, that's the move. You're like,
Yeah.
"Are you ready?"
Boom.
And it's like,
it's just another pair of suit pants underneath it, though.
So I mean, I hope the fans are out there that are watching this just understand this is legit how it is behind the scenes at PGF. These are the homies, and that's what everyone loves with PGF is that like once you're in there, you're in the fraternity. I mean, every competitor, they're out there trying to like kill each other, but the second they're not on the mats against each other, they're just one of us. And like Tim, seeing the bullpen come to fruition was so phenomenal. Just seeing like the atmosphere you guys had, collegiality, and you just integrated so well. But that's it, because like everyone in the PGF is just trying to push each other over the top. I mean, we're all about making the sport better, about like growing it. And I think maybe I get a little sappy, man. I'll start crying or some crap, and I'm like, just like, this crew. Thanks, Wallow. Yeah, the Wallow always says instigate crap. But it's just like, honestly, it's a bunch of people that are trying to support each other, trying to support the sport, just trying to make things better. And I felt that obviously every season in the PGF. I felt that this last weekend or 2 weekends ago with the CGI and ADCC with the bullpen, just trying to make things kind of happen out of nowhere. It's that spirit that's going to make this sport as great as it can be, because it can be great and it will be great. But I really think we're there. We're on the ground floor, and it's going to come quickly. But just if I could, just because Josh Nipper, Daily Triangle, threw out there that Ryan Aitken, our guest from last week, is going to win season 7. Hey, I got it. Other than Gordon Ryan and Nicky Rod, he's the only one to win EBI absolutes. So that's killer. 2-time CJJ champion. But Josh, I'm telling you, man, you don't know, but we know because we're the insiders. There's some killers because I'm looking at it right now. I have the roster right over.
Who
I can't. What? Wallow? I'm already on double secret probation. Damn it! I'm not.
I haven't seen
bring that up,
the roster.
How did you get a list? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
You're all in the same chat that I am on.
No, son.
All right, very well. I'll text
Let me look
you,
at my phone now because I've been staying on social media. Sorry.
But, here's the thing.
There's too many channels in here.
Very, very soon, they're going to start announcing all the names for the PGF, and it is a murderer's row. It is going to be insanity. And to Tim's point, and I'll send you the list of the coaches because maybe somebody's been paying attention and has those too.
Yeah, I have heard those.
Okay, very well, because they're amazing. There's
That's
a
right.
lot
He is
to
a
be.
proud insider. Yeah, Daily Triangle is a proud sponsor of the
Of who?
PGF and the Jabroni Grappler. But
That's cool.
I'm sorry,
he
Josh,
still can't
but I
tell you.
mean,
If you want to know,
you know,
you have that sponsorship that ingrates you with the commish. So he would
Yeah.
be the one that would have the soft heart to give you that information. We didn't get any of that money, so
yeah,
we ain't saying shit.
Sorry. As I mentioned, I'm already on double secret probation.
I love you though, Josh. I'm
Addis.
just kidding.
Yeah. So
I really don't know the answers. That's why I'm talking tough.
anyways,
That's the way you do it.
PGF season 7 is gonna be insanity, guys. I mean, every season it's just been about getting better, and with the competition level, you know, with the more money brings more competition level. With everyone sees the production level, and they also see the branding. Seeing the couches, like everyone knows the PGF now
Yeah.
for the coaches, for the couches.
The PGF set.
I mean, it's crazy, but it's like,
Like
that's
I
vibe.
love when people say, "Oh, how can we get tickets to the event?" It's like, dog, we're gonna see like 9 people in these couches. That's it. There's not that much room.
Yeah, here's the thing: you can't. It's like Fenway. So you know, I'm a Red Sox
Man,
fan.
I don't know. Fenway sounds like there's a lot more people there.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Steven.
I've been thinking about that though. It's like I want the people there kind of for my job.
What if you could put grandstands?
Well, they're still there.
I thought about this. What if you could have the couches and all that elite stuff up front, velvet rope it, and then behind that put grandstands, like a live studio audience style, and then you sell some tickets and you get a little vibe going. But it could alter the elevated atmosphere in a way that makes it feel not distinct enough of an experience.
That's right. So the whole point, like with Fenway, which they have not. I mean, they've added some seats, but just like, you know, Green Monster has some seats on it now. They added a few more seats in another area, but by and large, to get a ticket to the Red Sox game is a get. It's not easy. I mean, it's not just you know, there's a limited amount of seats there, and so it becomes, you know, special. You know, if you want to go, you know, God bless them. I'll probably go there when the Red Sox come by. If I want to go to Angels game, it's easy to get a ticket. No problem at all. There's
the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? What kind of travesty LA bullcrap name is that? Come on. They're the California Angels. That's what their original name is, and they should have stayed that. The LA Angels.
Okay, I touched a nerve, but here's the point. It's easy to get a damn ticket to that. I can do that in, like, you know, a day before the game happens. The point is, with the PGF, hey, if you're there, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like you're important. You've been asked to be there, or there's, like, you know, there's that mystique, if you will.
David Avellin was there. I saw the video from the thing today on Instagram where he was talking about it a little bit. He was there, and I was looking at him during the event some, and I was like, I recognize this guy. I should know who he is. I don't want to walk up to him though and be like the asshole that's like, who are you? You know, but like,
it's like, don't you know I'm the Kimura trap system,
dude? Seeing that little Instagram clip today where he was him, and I was like, oh my God. Like, so much of what I do, you know, so a lot of my game came from a lot of that stuff, you know, so it was super cool to be able to see like a lot of that kind of stuff where there's people like that are being, you know, around this event and being a part of it, you know, like the OGs, people that we came up with, you know, learning from, and different things are still, you know, trying to be a part of it, but they enjoy this thing that we're doing. They enjoy what we have kind of come up with and created. That's fucking cool, man. That's fucking cool to me.
So I think cool. One of the big things we're going to do, I think, for next season, like
Stuart Cooper was there.
I know. I got to meet Stuart Cooper, dude. You know how
we're like, we talk to each other. It's like, what's up, Stuart? He's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? It's like,
that was amazing. I've been wanting to meet that guy forever. Got to meet Hodger Gracie.
Bro.
Come on.
Right?
Come on. Jean
That's my buddy. We're just friends now.
He's a homie.
So
we were talking to Stuart. We didn't even know it was Stuart Cooper. That's
yeah.
He's jacked too, man. He's jacked, dude. I'm like, dang, man.
I heard he's really good at jiu-jitsu. I want to roll with him.
He's too cool to be a jiu-jitsu guy. He should be into surfing or something. He's too cool for us, man.
That's kind of, I think, probably the blend that he gave, you know?
Yeah.
An interesting part of it.
So I think the next step is getting like some serious audio engineering going on. I think that's going to be the next thing that's going to be really big.
We got it.
Well, you already talked about it a little bit, though. I mean, like, hey, the possibility of having the coaches mic'd and maybe having that, like, selectively through, whoever's running the production piped in, having the commentators, our stuff piped in so that people can actually hear more. And that's partially my fault because, like, Brandon and TJ were such professionals. They, like, spoke up really loud so people could hear them. I didn't realize that, so I didn't speak up very loud so you can hear my stats and stuff like that. But I think I'm just saying, like, as far as for the people there, just like hearing things in between when matches are going on, I think that will aid in the experience. So I'm really pumped. Yeah. Oh, I think we're gonna have a lot more graphics, and it's gonna be amazing. So one of the things, like, obviously last season was our first season in that venue, so we had to figure it out. I mean, all three, all of us were moving couches, literally. We all like forget the
and
suits.
I'll do it again.
We'll do it again too. But I mean, like we're trying to figure it out. Like everyone else, we're moving couches, we're making things happen. But now at least we know where we're gonna be, at least for the venue. So we know where that is. We have some plans there. We like. Things are going to be a little bit easier. I mean, they're still trying to figure out where we're going to be housed and stuff like that, but that's fine. But the more stuff that we have that they're kind of similar or that like we don't have to worry about, that means we can more spend our time and our energy and our brain cells capacity on other things. So I think that just means we're going to get better.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right,
it's like,
Tim, before we go, use your full brain's capacity and tell us where the people can find you.
You can find me at Inside BJJ on Instagram, Facebook, Napster, Hipster, Grinder. No, I'm not on there. JK. YouTube.
I follow you there.
All the social media platforms. I think I even got like a TikTok set up that my Instagram goes there. Perhaps there's also Threads is like a new thing, dude. There's too much for me to track, to be honest with you. But
what does OFC mean?
It's a lot. We just we did an episode of the Bullpen. Today's Sunday. On Friday, that went out. Yeah, and then we did Inside BJJ with the return of my legendary co-host Big MF, and he tells some legendary fight stories from the past, and they're so good that it's like I just want to have him call in every show and tell a fight story, but I know that won't work. But they're so damn good, man. It was so fun to have him back on. And then this weekend, I'm going to be down at Subversive for that event out in San Diego. So we're going to do the pre-show from there. And I think I'm going to be working on the play-by-play team there for that event. So pretty stoked for that. So catch us out there if you have the chance. Yeah, I'm having a good time, man. This is just fun. I love doing it. It's easy in the sense that everybody's cool, and it's a really amazing opportunity that you're probably never going to find in this capacity again. Like, wrinkles in the universe don't happen that often, and sometimes you got to be standing there when it happens, and, we're rolling there. So it's awesome, man. So I'm stoked. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was great catching up with you. I can't wait to see you guys at Season 7. We're pumped at the Bullpen for Season 7. We're stoked, man.
Right on. I can't wait to be out there, man. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, hey, real quick, can I plug my Patreon? Go to Inside BJJ.
Of course.
Go to patreon.com/Inside BJJ. We got a bunch of backstage extra bonus content. I got a bunch of techniques. And look, some shit you probably seen, some shit you haven't seen. Some of it's weird and interesting. Some of it maybe not for you. It's just part of the experience. We put some weekly live class cuts up there as well. And then I throw a lot of bonus Inside BJJ stuff from the past I've been throwing out there. So it's $5 a month. You know, it's like I got to eat too. I got a latte $7 now. So, you know, I got to get some subscribers just to stay caffeinated at this point. I need a third revenue stream to support my
Fuck that,
caffeine
bro. You
habits.
get a grande, it's like $10.
I know, it's crazy, man. We're real coffee divas. That's what we are. But thanks, guys. I love you guys. This was awesome, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Adios, muchachos. Peace. Adios.
Peace.
Hasta luego. Hasta